Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday, the Wednesday before Christmas. So, these are Christmas letters that came in. And the ones last week were just in general Christmas letters, people that had problems with ghosts. These are Christmas letters that came in that I actually did work for them over the years. One or two I remember, one not so much at all. But it was interesting to think that some of these people have actually still kept track of me since 1960. So thanks so much. And again, have a really nice Christmas. And let's get started. Hi, Marianne. I don't know if you remember us, Joyce and Tim. You got rid of ghosts in our house the week before Christmas in 1980. We married in 1974. I brought a 9-year-old son into the marriage, and then we had twin girls in 1975. We bought Christmas gifts, wrapped them, and hid them. The girls were 5 and our son was 14. We didn't think the girls would try looking for Christmas gifts, but we figured our son would. So we hid them. A week before Christmas, we found doll hair all over the floor when we got up in the morning. We had no pets in the house. The girls did not have any dolls that had hair at the time that they could have cut. We just couldn't figure out where all this doll hair came from. So as we're cleaning it up, it dawned on us that the gifts, one of the Christmas gifts that we bought them, were dolls. So we went and looked where the presents were hidden, and the boxes were both open, and the doll's arms were ripped off, the legs were ripped off, and the hair was cut. And we looked at each other, and we couldn't figure out how this could have happened. We could not believe our 14-year-old would do this, but who else? We got new dolls, hid all the gifts in the garage, different place. The garage was not attached. And the next day, all the crayons were broken, and Play-Doh that were wrapped was all over the floor, ground into the carpet. Again, part of the girls' gifts. Well, we just couldn't figure it out. That day, our son went to his friend's house for a sleepover. We drove him there around 5 p.m. The next morning, the girls' bunny slippers and PJs that were gifts were thrown all over the floor. Our son did not do this, but now we were frightened who did. That's when we called you. Over the phone, you said there was a little boy ghost about 9 or 10 years old, and you came out the next day. His name was Jay. He died on his birthday, which was the day before Christmas. His 6-year-old sister pushed him. They were brother-sister fighting, and she pushed him, and she accidentally pushed him down the basement steps, and his neck was broken. What really made him angry, after his funeral, they gave all his Christmas toys and birthday gift toys to his sister. That just really, really upset him. The kid died on December 24th, 1967. And any house over the years at Christmas that had a little girl around 5, 6, 7 years old, he would rip up, break up, destroy any of the gifts that were supposed to be that little girl's. After he was gone, we never had another problem. I don't remember, like I said, I don't know if you remember us or not, or remember our house, but we never even told the girls about it when they got older because we thought that would really scare them. This has happened in more than one house. I can remember this happening in other houses too, where kids were really destructive of the live children's toys. And they were hurt, they were angry, they didn't want to be dead. So yeah, this I sort of remember you guys. I mean, it's been a while. Okay, Marianne, you helped us between Christmas and New Year's in 1991. We purchased a house in an estate sale and moved in November. The house still had a lot of previous owners' things in it. We cleaned out everything on the first, second, and basement. And after Christmas, we were going to get all the stuff out of the attic. The children of the previous owners wanted very few things. They told us, sell the things, donate them, throw them out, give them away, burn them. They really didn't care. We were decorating very little for Christmas that year because we wanted to get started with the painting and the work that had to be done in the house. And so we just thought that we would just be simple this year. And it was just the two of us anyway. On December 15th, 10 days before Christmas, we went downstairs for breakfast, and there was a 5.5, 6 foot white Christmas tree standing in the middle of the living room. We just looked at one another. We were so scared, and then we thought someone in our family was trying to be funny. They had been calling us Scrooges because we were not putting up a tree. And we thought, gee, they were pretty quiet, and we were trying to figure out how did they get in. So we went back upstairs to get dressed and get rid of the white tree, and the door to the spare bedroom was open, just a crack. We looked inside, and the wood over the access to the attic was on the floor. That piece of wood covered a hole in the ceiling. That's how you got into the attic. We had gone, there was no way our family could have come in and did this in the middle of the night without us hearing. And why would they even have known where the attic was? And why would they have known that there was anything up there? We had gone to your Halloween event in October and started wondering if we had a ghost. We called the daughter of the previous owner and asked her when she was living here, she grew up in this house, did she think the house was haunted? She got quiet and she said it was especially creepy after Grandma died, and because Grandma lived with them, and she wondered more than once if Grandma was hanging around them. I asked her if they put up a Christmas tree. She said yes, a white one. We didn't like it, but Grandma did. We told her what happened, and she asked if she could come over. She said that was the tree the minute she walked in the door. She asked us where we found it, because she thought it had been thrown out after Grandma died. I explained how we found it, and we went upstairs where the attic was open. She said this had been Grandma's bedroom. She always said Christmas in Norway is the way the trees look there, always white with all the snow on them. And she loved the way it looked, and she missed not being in Norway at Christmas time. We called you, Marianne. You came over, and we asked the daughter if she wanted to be here when you came. She did. When you came and said what Grandma's name was, she said, yes, that was definitely her grandma. Grandma was upset when the white tree was never put up again after she died. She was hoping the new people would like it and use it. So she brought it down from the attic. Her granddaughter said she would take the tree if she went into the light. Grandma went into the light. Before she left, she said, the rest of the Christmas boxes are in the attic. Please take and use them. The daughter did. After Grandma was gone, we never had any issues in the last 30 or so years. But every time I see a white Christmas tree, I think of Grandma and you, Louise. I remember this because I always knew that ghosts have a lot of energy, and I would have to look back to that year and see if that was a week um, of a full moon, which would have given Grandma even more energy. But this just proves how they can move things. And how do you not hear somebody taking something out of a hole in the attic or in the ceiling from an attic? So she must have been a very determined lady when she was alive, because she was still that way when she was a ghost. And that just, you know, when they want things done, they want things done. Marianne, in 1988, you came to our house. I was 15 years old, and right after Christmas, Mom had you come. Our family always ate our big holiday meal around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Mom would get up in the middle of the night to make the stuffing for the turkeys and get them in the oven by 5 a.m. Then she'd go back to bed for a couple of hours. One turkey went into the oven. The other one went into an electric roaster that sat on its own stand. And believe it or not, I have one of those. On Christmas morning, this wonderful smell of turkey cooking is what always woke us up. Well, this Christmas, however, when my mother got up, the turkeys were not cooking, not even warm. The electric roaster could have blown a fuse, they figured. But the oven was gas. Both turkeys were raw. How could that be? My father checked fuses, checked wiring, could not figure out how it happened. Mom was beside herself. She had 22 people coming over and no turkey. Dad still could find nothing wrong with the electric roaster. He was absolutely convinced that Mom just forgot to turn the oven on or the roaster on. He didn't understand how else, because the gas oven was working. The turkeys eventually cooked. We ate a few hours later, but we had problems with the furnace not working, electrical problems, and I started feeling like I was being watched. Mom had a friend who had a friend that knew about your work, and Mom called you. You explained the outside of our house to her and said there was a teenage boy in the house about 16, 18 years old. You came out. Mom, me, and Dad wouldn't sit with us, and you. I went to a sleepover at my friend's house over Thanksgiving break, and 6 of us played with a Ouija board. Mom started yelling immediately. I told you, don't ever touch a Ouija board. That's a devil's tool. You calmed her down. You knew the name of the other girls. I guess he stayed at Lynn's house for a day or two, then went to Lana's house for a couple of days, then ended up here in my house. His name was Greg, and he did like to break things and disrupt, and he thought he was real funny with the turkeys not cooking. Look how much energy he got just from Mom, let alone the relatives ragging on her on how to cook a turkey. I got grounded for 2 weeks and have never touched a Ouija board again. I'm married now and have young children. I can assure you they also will never touch a Ouija board, and we never had any trouble in any of our houses after you cleared that one. Darla. Again, this is exactly what an earthbound spirit can do. It's amazing how much trouble that they can cause in somebody's house. And the last one. In 1960, my grandmother was a friend of your grandmother's, both from the same village in Italy. I guess they were paisans. You were about 12. I was 14 when your grandmother brought you to my grandmother's house. We all lived in the same house. It was Grandma and Grandpa's house. We lived upstairs in a unit above them, Mom, Dad, my little sister, and me. There was even renters up on a third floor above us. It was Christmas, and Grandma had my mom and us kids put the Christmas tree up, a live tree. With the big bulbs that screwed in, they got hot, all different colors. She was finicky about how it looked. We were not allowed to put the tinsel on. She had to hang it on one strand at a time. She wouldn't light the tree for more than 2 hours. She was sure that it would burn the house down if she kept the tree on longer than that. And the bulbs would burn out fast. 3 or 4 days before Christmas, she yelled upstairs, "Gino, come down. I got 2 bulbs burned out on the tree. Fix them." My grandmother talked the same way. I came down, she turned down the tree, and there was a green and blue bulbs out. She took off the tinsel so I wouldn't mess it up, and then put it back on after I changed the bulbs. Early evening, she yelled upstairs, "Gino, come down here and bring your papa." The tree was on, and a whole string of lights was out now. That's not how those lights worked years ago. When the mini lights came out, if one light burned out, they would all burn out. Or if one of the mini lights fell out, the whole string would go out. But that did not happen with these big old bulbs that screwed in. One would go out, but not the whole string. Dad worked at the steel mill, and he didn't know why. He checked if the plug was in right, but it was strange. There were 3 strings connected, and the middle section was the one that was out. We couldn't fix it, so my grandmother heard your grandmother bring you to our house to see. So we couldn't fix it. So my grandmother had your grandmother bring you to our house to see if there was a phantom, word for ghost in Italian. I was supposed to stay upstairs, but I snuck down, and the door to her house opened into the kitchen. That door was always open if Grandma and Grandpa were home. So I snuck in and got down into the hallway, and I could watch what was going on. If there was a phantom, I wanted to see. It was you, our grandmothers, my grandfather, and the phantom, and me sneaking. I never saw the phantom, but you were standing there talking to something or someone. You said there was a man ghost, his name was Nunzio, and that my grandmother was right. That string of lights had a bad wiring in it and could have easily started a fire. So he unscrewed the bulbs just enough so that the whole line would not work. Grandpa knew who he was from the neighborhood. He had been an electrician when he was alive. He sort of watched out for everyone in the neighborhood. He would not go to the light. He said he was and he used the Italian word for a helper or a caretaker. He only went into houses when there was a problem. After that, my grandmother wasn't too worried about the tree catching fire because Nunzio was around. Merry Christmas, Gino. I know this was 60 years ago, Mary Ann, but do you remember me or my house? I have kept track of you all these years, and I never have a Christmas where I don't think about what happened way back when. I do not remember Gino. My grandmother had a lot of relatives and friends that were named Gino, and I did a lot of work for her family and friends, so I really don't remember. However, what happened there could have easily happened. There are earthbound spirits that do try to help. And he didn't stay in the house only when there was a problem, so he would not have caused any problems, just trying to warn people what was going on. So, just a heads up. Next Tuesday is a full moon. So that tells me that between today and next Tuesday, that if you've got an earthbound spirit in your house, you are going to know it, especially this time of year with Christmas tree lights and trains going around Christmas trees and the lights outside. So don't be surprised if you've got something going on in your house that you can really notice this week. So everybody have a really good Christmas. Please be safe and pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing. And next Wednesday, the last Wednesday of this year, I will be talking about ghosts and what they've done on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. Thank you so much and have a great day.